Hey everyone, how you doing? This is Amon Green, Green Bay Packers all-time leading rusher, and you're watching Packers Total Access Live, your daily source for Packer content. Go Pack, go!
What's up, guys? Welcome into Packers Total Access. My name is Clayton. You can check us out on Packernet.com. Find me on Twitter at Packers_access. Joined alongside Tim in Green Bay. I'm down here in Tennessee. Back to talk a little Packers this evening. We get the Packers Cardinals kicking off tomorrow with a 3:25 Central kickoff. Excited to dive into what we call the game plan this evening. We're going to give you a detailed approach, three kind of keys to the game on offense, three keys to the game on defense. We'll talk about the updated injury report and some more information that dropped earlier today, including Keyshawn Nixon battling a little bit of an illness. Makes you kind of wonder, did he catch something from Josh Jacobs? Maybe there's something going around the locker room. I don't know. We'll get into all that. We'll also talk about the Tuesday players, the players that you've got to focus on and shut down for the Cardinals in order for the Packers to be successful there and get another dub on the road. But before we do that, if you guys would do that YouTube stuff for me, hit like, hit subscribe. If this is your first time tuning into PTA, welcome. Thank you for making us a part of your evening. We're not experts. We're not insiders. We're not media members. We're fans just like you talking Packers on the daily. Tomorrow we'll be going live about an hour and a half, maybe even 2 hours before kickoff for the PTA pregame show, and then we'll be doing a postgame show immediately following. So if you want to make sure that you're notified every time we do go live here in the future, click that bell icon so you're getting that notification on the fly. But with that being said, Tim, how you doing, man? You ready to dive into the final installment of the game plan here?
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely, man. Looking forward to this. I got a feeling this is going to be a huge test of character game for this Green Bay Packers team. We're going to find out real quick tomorrow who this team really is, I think, kicking off this road trip here.
Yeah, I'm really interested to see how they respond because there are some people banged up. Like I said, you're dealing with some illness as well. And, Jacoby Brissett's one of those quarterbacks that could get hot at any moment. He's had a really good career, in my opinion. I don't know how he hasn't held down a starting quarterback job based off the PFF analysis and based off games I've just watched firsthand. You guys know I've kept up with the Patriots for some time as well. I remember when he was up there. I remember when he left the Patriots. I want to say he went to another division rival at one point. It just seems like everywhere he goes, he plays good football. I remember him being in Indy for a little bit as well. And it just seems like he never wins the starting job, Tim, but man, you never come away going he's a bad quarterback,
Yep, for sure.
All right. We got Hardy, the prophet, in the house with the super chat. Thank you, Hardy. Appreciate it. He says, yo, guys, the new intro music is funky. I think that's a good thing. Hopefully it is. Hardy, we appreciate you, pal. And I want to apologize for the voice tonight. It may go pretty quick. Definitely coming down with something. You guys know it's that time of the year when you get into the best weather of the year, Tim. You get in these in the 60s during the day and then the 30s at night. It's just everything's glorious until you get the scratch in the back of the throat, and next thing you know, you're down for a couple of days.
Next thing you know, you're showing up on the injury report, right? You're stuck there. You're questionable. Hopefully, you're not doubtful tomorrow. Hopefully, you're not out, Clayton. I'm wishing you the best. We had a little something run through our family too not too long ago, and I know Emilio was dealing with some sickness too. It's that time of the year, man. It's gonna get all of us at some point, right?
Yeah, we'll be going live tomorrow regardless, Tim. The beautiful thing about hosting a sucky show like this one, if it's a little bit suckier, nobody cares, right? They're just kind of used to it. It's par for the course.
Don't worry, nobody's listening anyway.
That's right, Bob. Thank you, Hardy. Appreciate the dono there, man. All right, let's jump into it, Tim. The game plan. All right, Week 7 Packers at the Cardinals. This is something I've done for some time. If you guys are new here, I've been following the Packers really, really closely, studying the Packers, I guess you could say, studying the game of professional football since about 2009. And I heard from a book, I read in a book and then listened to the audio book way more times than I care to admit. I'm a little embarrassed by it, but Take Your Eye Off the Ball by Pat Kerwin. He lays out in Take Your Eye Off the Ball how the game planning organization, there it is, Tim's got it, how these teams game plan for their upcoming opponent, talking about the 4-game saturation, last 2 head-to-heads, what the week looks like leading up to the game. Michael Lombardi also did it in Gridiron Genius, where he talked about kind of leading up to the Baltimore playoff game where they won against the Baltimore Ravens when he was with the Patriots as an executive there. And what I started doing back in 2009 is kind of putting my own game plan together. Now, it's evolved over the years, but I like to kind of dive into the upcoming opponent and see if I can put together a structure of what a game plan might look like. Maybe, like said, the Tuesday players. When you hear us say Tuesday players, we're talking about the players that the coaching staff focuses on those Tuesday meetings before they put the game plan completely installed and go with the team and say, here's the plan. They get with the coaches and go, all right, let's identify the Tuesday players, those players that can wreck the game plan, that type of thing. Now, I will say this. I don't feel like there's anyone on the Cardinals that you would like really, really say, Tim, wow, that dude is a game wrecker. But there still are Tuesday players. There still are players that, if you can kind of slow them down, if you can make them play left-handed, you got a much better shot of winning the ball game.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Calais Campbell comes to mind, but he's probably in the later stages of his career, right? I hate to use the past his prime for anybody. Clearly, still somebody you got to be concerned about on that D line, depending on how much he's out there and how available. I've seen he's had a lot of rest this week, hasn't really practiced, but that's kind of par for the course when you're an OG veteran. But I think you're right. To that point, there's guys you have to account for. You can't afford to sleep on this team, but when it comes to those get off the bus guys or those Tuesday players, I don't see a large list here with the Cardinals.
Yeah. So let's jump into it, man. It all begins with the injury report, right? And we hit this pretty extensively this week. I don't want to spend a whole lot of time on it, but we'll just kind of give you the gist of the questionables and the outs. Okay. So for the Packers, Anthony Belton, Nate Hobbs, Josh Jacobs, Brandon McManus, Jacob Monk are all listed as questionable. That's a 50-50 shot to play, right? Zach Tom is listed as questionable as well. Dontavion Wicks is listed as questionable. And then, of course, the guys that are listed out officially are Lucas Van Ness, Christian Watson, and Devontae Wyatt. So we will definitely 100% be without those three players. On the Cardinals side, you've got Keaton Crawford, you've got Will Hernandez, Zay Jones, Kyler Murray, and Darius Robinson, defensive lineman, are all listed as questionable. The most notable in there, obviously, the starting QB, Kyler Murray, listed as questionable. Tim, even though he's listed as a 50-50 shot to play, to me, it feels like if you read between the lines based off of practice, him not really going out there and getting the reps with the number ones, it sounded like they had Jacoby Brissett doing that all week. I think Kyler Murray probably going to be sitting this one out, but you never know, man. Come game time, he may be out there.
Yeah, absolutely. It could be a little gamesmanship, right? Why tip your hand? We see this all the time with injury designations. We've seen it for years. With the new rules, it's a little trickier to play that game, but teams adapt. We're no stranger to that. We do the same thing. You just basically hold on to that information and keep it close to the chest. But either way, you got to prepare for the Arizona Cardinals offense. And we talked about Jacoby Brissett being a guy that you can't afford to sleep on either. Right. Experienced veteran quarterback. So regardless of whether Kyler's going to go or not, we need to be ready for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And I think the chat pretty much agrees. It's looking like Jacoby Brissett, but you never know, right? You're not 100% sure that Murray will be out. So listed as out, though, is running back Amari DeMarcado with the ankle, and then also Walter Nolan, their first-round pick, defensive tackle that we were really high on. Obviously, he hasn't gotten on the field this regular season yet there for the Cardinals. Now, it's also worth mentioning that there's a couple guys on this or that's not on this injury report that's on the IR, right? And one of those is James Conner, their starting running back. So the running back group, I think they're down their top two running backs, if I remember, at least maybe they're running back one, running back three, depending on how you look at the carries and the touches. But they're a little banged up at the running back position, and that's a strength of their game as well. Yeah. So
and if no Kyler, how do you create with your feet? I don't think any of us are overly concerned about Jacoby Brissett running all over the field on us. So this may be a big passing game for them.
Yeah, definitely. So just a couple other quick notes are based around the injury report and some of the information that was released earlier today. Rob Demovsky had tweeted out, Packers cornerback Keyshawn Nixon has been added to the injury report as questionable for tomorrow's game at Arizona because of an illness. All right. 3 other moves. Offensive lineman Jacob Monk was added to the roster off IR. So you're getting Jacob Monk back. You're getting some extra depth there at the offensive line position. Although I got to be real, based off what I've seen out of Jacob Monk in game time in his young career, I'm not impressed. I don't feel like he's like a game changer. However, there's a reason that the team sees him higher than some of these other offensive linemen that are at the very, very, very bottom of the roster. So I think it is a positive that he's back, right? He at least knows the offense from that regard. Defensive end or edge defender, I should say, Aaron Mosby. Running back Pierre Strong Jr. elevated from the practice squad. So the Pierre Strong Jr. surprised me a little bit, Tim. That makes me think Josh Jacobs, who was banged up a little bit with injuries and then dealing with the illness as well. Maybe this is just precautionary, or maybe it's something that come game time we might not even see Josh Jacobs. Now, you don't want to say that right off the bat because you want the other team to have to prepare for that running style, that running attack. But looks like Pierre Strong being called up at least makes me think the Packers are a little concerned about Josh Jacobs playing at full strength tomorrow.
Yeah, they know we're going on a 2-game road stretch here against some tough opponents in their own respects, and a little depth isn't going to hurt anybody, especially when you're talking about one of your ones here. This is Josh Jacobs. You need to have guys ready to go behind him if for some reason he doesn't go. But I think Josh is a gamer, right? I'm sure they're going to have to try to hold him off the field to keep him from playing. So, but Aaron Mosby, seeing that made me happy, especially considering being down LVN going into this game. Aaron Mosby was a guy who flashed all throughout training camp, preseason as well, and like to see him get some reps. It would be kind of cool.
Yeah, definitely. And I think Jen Wright was mentioning too. Well, that's a big pterodactyl in here tonight. My gosh. Watch live on the air. Get out of here, bruh. You've been cut. You didn't make the 53. All right. So, like Jen Wright pointed out, she said special teams ? That could be the case too with Pierre Strong. Right? Maybe they seen a strong showing, no pun intended, with him on special teams this week, and said, "Hey, look, he's valuable. Let's call him up to contribute in special teams." If that's what Jen was meaning there, I didn't even think from that regard. I just kind of assumed there's a little insurance policy there with Josh Jacobs. Not to say that Pierre Strong will get the starting reps. Obviously, you're going to have a combination. If Jacobs can't go or is limited, it's going to be a combination of Chris Brooks on the passing downs, and I think you get Emmanuel Wilson on the obvious running downs. Probably what you'd be seeing. So,
yep.
All right, moving along. Let's get into it, Tim. The offensive game plan. Love that shot too, by the way. Josh Jacobs just dominating the Bengals, man. What a game. He had 150 all-purpose yards. I hope he's on the field tomorrow. I think he's a huge aspect of this Matt LaFleur offense. So, number one, leaning on the running game. The Packers should establish a run early and often with Josh Jacobs, who has performed well recently. However, it is worth mentioning that the Packers elevated Pierre Strong Jr., indicating that Josh Jacobs may not be 100% as he recovers from an illness and other injuries. That may mean more carries for Emmanuel Wilson and Chris Brooks. The Cardinals defense has struggled against the run, ranking 15th, so Green Bay should prioritize controlling the clock and tiring out the opposing defense. So when you look at the running grades, obviously Josh Jacobs has been lights out, 82.1, Chris Brooks 62.0, and Emmanuel Wilson 61.4. When you look at where they're ranked, like we had mentioned here, Tim, Arizona is 15th in yards per carry allowed, allowing 4.2 yards per rush this season. You'll notice, just since we'll mention it while we're on the screen, Green Bay is officially 4th in the NFL in that statistical category in yards per carry allowed. I think they're number 1 in rushing yards per game, but you guys know I put way more stock in how many yards a team gets per carry as opposed to over the course of a game. If a team goes out there and rushes for 150 yards in one game, Tim, and they were only averaging 2.8 yards a carry, that tells me something went crazy wrong on your offense. They had the ball way too often, even though they were ineffective at running. I like the yards per carry stat. But what do you think about the running game matching up against Arizona? Do you agree with that's going to be one of the keys to this game?
I do think so. And, in a pinch, we'll take the 4+ yard average. We've seen that, right? We've seen Josh get it done. We've seen Emmanuel Wilson get it done for us on the ground. And, really that, we always talk about run to set up the pass or pass to set up the run, right? And the answer is always in my brain, yes to both. Whatever the hell happens on that Sunday, that's what we need to do. But I do think that Matt's going to press into the run a little bit in this game. And I think Arizona may prove to do the opposite against our defense because, as you mentioned, we're pretty good up front against the run. And, Arizona is they're kind of running low on options as far as ball carriers.
Yeah, and sometimes, Tim, what dictates whether you're running to set up the pass or passing to set up the run or can plays. You may come to the line of scrimmage planning on running to set up the pass, and they give you a specific look where you're like, oh, we can't pass up on the pass play here. Can. And then all of a sudden you do that on the course of, 2 or 3 plays out of 5 or 6. And you look up and go, actually, statistically, we're passing to set up the run, but it's because they showed a specific look against a specific formation to set, and you canned out to the pass and vice versa, right? Yep. So it's very fluid. I'm glad you mentioned it that way for sure. Speaking of that, utilize play action is the next key to this game. Arizona ranks 9th in the NFL in passing defense, all right? The Packers' offensive line needs to give Love clean pockets, but quick, decisive throws along with play action will help neutralize the rush and keep the Cardinals defenders off balance. I think play action is going to be huge. We've seen it last game, guys. We finally got away from 12 a little bit, 12 personnel. We really pressed into 11 nasty looks, and then we were going 22 duo, 22 fake. 22 duo, 22 fake. And it's really keeping those backers, it's keeping them on their toes, pressing up, trying to get a little too aggressive in the run defense category that's opening things up on the backside. So, again, when you look at their pass defense, Tim, it's not too bad, man. This is passing yards or yards per pass attempt. They're tied for 9th best with Philadelphia, Seattle, and then, like I said, Arizona's there as well. So they're basically a top 10 passing defense. With that being said, let's press into the run. Let's make them show that they can stop the run first and foremost, and we'll play action off of it. It's kind of how I feel.
Yeah, that's what you need against a decent pass defense, right? You need in-rhythm throws, and play action's a great way to set that up. There's a multitude of ways you can run. You don't have to run naked boots all day long. There's a variety of play action fakes that you can use to stay in rhythm as an offense, and having a good run game really helps that, because if that defense is weaker against the run and they have to step up and they have to commit to stopping it because you are willing offensively to run the ball 3 or 4 times in a row until somebody gets a stop, then you get a chance to hit on one of those shot plays down the field, or at least keep your passing game in rhythm as you're moving the sticks.
Absolutely, man. Just take what the defense gives you. That's the name of the game. And when you're talking about setting up play action, man, this is the most important aspect here. Attack the linebackers in the middle of the field. If there's a weak spot in this defense, it's definitely their linebacker play, okay? So while the Cardinals have some strong individual players on their defensive front, their linebackers have been vulnerable at times. Love should look to pull the linebackers up a play action to exploit matchups, particularly with tight end Tucker Kraft, who could create mismatches in the middle of the field. As you see here, Davis Gaither, 56.1 PFF grade, Wilson Sr., 57.0. Now, again, their passing defense is better than their run defense. That would make me think the coaching staff is probably coaching them on, hey, listen, we would rather you give up more rushing yards on the ground than get caught biting too much on the passing game. So there, I think you might see a little RPO action as well. See if you can get those backers to clamp up on the run, or if they're going to stay back. If they stay back, stick that ball in the belly of Josh Jacobs or Emmanuel Wilson and let them run wild. If they decide to get a little aggressive, don't be afraid to fire a little lookie, a bubble, a slant, whatever it takes to get the RPO game going. But again, you see the linebackers as the weak spot, Tim, but their defensive front pretty stout. You got Josh Sweat at a 77.4 and Calais Campbell at a 74.7. Now, they're showing these guys on the same side of the field. We know that's very fluid depending on what look the opposing offense gives. However, if it were me, I would want Calais on one side, Josh Sweat on the other, right? Meaning Calais in the 3-tech on one side and Josh Sweat on the other. Now, if he's traditionally their nose defender, then this may be the game that you go to a wide front, double 4-eye look. This is just speaking from the Cardinals' perspective, right? So they got a couple dogs on the defensive front, and this is a 34 front, so we're showing you the nickel 4-2-5 in which Josh Sweat is actually playing the edge defender role there. When you go to their base 34, he's going to be playing technically outside linebacker, but he's still an edge defender. Well, they'll show a lot of jam fronts, I would imagine. But Taylor Demerson, DTD.
That's Emilio's guy, yeah.
All right. He's having a hell of a year, 75.1. And then you got Buda Baker, the old veteran, is down to a 49.3. Now, when you see that, you go, okay, Baker seems to be washed up. Keep in mind, PFF isn't everything. And what do we say about Xavier McKinney? It's pretty much a mirror image. We got Evan Williams that's balling out according to PFF, and they're saying that Xavier McKinney sucks, although Xavier McKinney hasn't given up a catch all year, according to other statistical sources. So what do you think about all that, attacking the linebackers, their front, anything we just mentioned, man? Have at it.
I love that. No, I love that whole idea of, let's make them have to, dedicate some personnel to stopping the run a little bit. It's one thing to want to go ahead and, bend but don't break. And there's logic to that in this, modern NFL, right? You definitely don't want to get beat over the top 65-yard touchdown. You can give up those 4 yards of carry on the ground. We don't care. As long as we get off the field on third down or force 3 instead of a touchdown, we'll be happy, right? Especially if your defense is struggling. But case in point, you're right. Using weapons like Tucker Kraft, Tay Wicks, in a slot role, you can really get some in-rhythm throws once you get those backers, getting too comfortable being too aggressive, especially if they don't have really, the ability to kind of back it up. As you see, that's kind of the soft spot in their defense. So I agree. I would anticipate seeing, a couple crossers or Tuck Norris on a post or something like that, coming out of play action after a few runs, and we see some chunk plays. I'm sure we'll get an explosive or two in the pass game just based on their, their secondary. Really, I mean, they got DTD, they got is that Johnson there on the outside corner, and then obviously PFF clearly loves Max Melton. Obviously, I don't know, I haven't seen a lot of tape on Max this year, but they're clearly not too high on him. So yeah. I think Bo's brother might have his hands full on Sunday. So.
Yeah, and Will Johnson, rookie, fell to the second round because of the injury concerns. He didn't run a 40-yard dash in his pro day, so he started to sink on depth charts. He's graded out as the 7th best corner in the league, so you got to be aware of where he is at all times. He's a sticky man cover corner for sure, man. So Jen Wright says, commit to the run, take the shots. Amen to that, Jen. You get those safeties hesitating a little bit, fire it over the top of Golden, man. I'm really excited to see what Golden does because, again, most of the time when you progress as a young offensive player in the National Football League, it's not just like a bang, right? It's usually a couple steps forward, maybe a step or two back, 3 steps forward, 1 step back. You know what I'm saying? It's a stair-step process. I think here lately it's been kind of 3 weeks in a row of him ramping up. I'm expecting him to step back a little bit because it's just normal. It's natural. It's kind of like what I talked about the defense this year. I didn't expect the defense to be as good as it was last year because historically speaking, in the second year of a defensive install, teams catch on and you got to adjust. And now coaches are you're finding out what that coaching staff and what that particular defensive unit can do in terms of adjusting on the fly when teams have a full season of tape on. It's the same thing with a rookie wide receiver like Golden. As teams adjust and start to take away the things that he does well, if he just continues a steady incline and no step backs, we may be looking at a superstar. So I'm excited to see what he does this week. And in terms of coverage, let's dive into what the Cardinals do specifically. Now, in terms of EPA per drop back, they're sitting in the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, somewhere around 15th or 16th in EPA per drop back. So keep in mind, yards per pass attempt, right? Or yards per passing play that we just showed you, they were 10th. EPA per dropback, they're in 15th. I typically take those and kind of average them out. So they're probably about a top 12, top 13 passing defense. Now, what they do specifically in that regard, Arizona plays predominantly a cover 4 defense. So they're playing a quarters look at 28% of the snaps. They play cover 3 zone 27% of the time. Then they jump into cover 2 zone 16% of the time. So they are a zone heavy team, no doubt about it, right? Which is surprising that they're not better at stopping the run because they are a zone defense. We'll see how it goes. Now, when they
Maybe
do
it explains why they're pretty good against the pass then.
Absolutely. Because they're keeping everything in front of them. They're showing that shell look, Tim. And you got quarterbacks that don't want to take that shot, knowing they're showing a 2 deep look, right? Or it's a quarters coverage essentially. Now they can mix and match the cover 6, the cover 9s, the cover 7s, a little mod 3, things like that. But they're kind of keeping everything in front of them, Tim. That's exactly what they're doing. And they play cover 1 man 15% of the time. So keep that in mind. Like comparatively speaking, the Packers are playing cover 1 man 19% of the time. Okay. So we play a little more man than they do. They play a whole lot more cover 4 than we do. We've only shown 7% cover 4, but we're in cover 3 zone and cover 2 the majority of the time.
And in terms of their schedule too, and see that, a lot of their losses, they were in these ball games.
Every game, man.
Every single game. So they have not been boat raced or, a full on liability. And clearly that, that strategy, keep it in front of you, has, I guess, worked. Their offense hasn't been able to get it done. So we should be prepared for that for sure.
Oh, absolutely.
Nothing like running the ball into that, right? Get them having to diagnose.
All right, so that's going to do it for the offensive game plan. Guys, let us know in the comments, what would you change about that offensive game plan? What do you agree with? Is there something we overlooked? Let us know in the comments when you're watching this back later after the live stream. And make sure you hit subscribe and click that bell icon so you're notified when we do go live, so you can join the live conversation here in the YouTube chat at any moment. So Jen Wright says, break out the zone beaters this week. Amen. Amen. I think you will see a lot of spot plays. You're going to see some of these concepts with spacing, things like that. You'll still throw in your slot crosses. You'll still throw in your daggers. But I think you're going to see a little bit more of that, Timmy. What you may see is like a trips look or a tray look, spot concept, swing pass out to Jacobs if he's healthy. That way you've got those guys isolated in their zones, covering those spacing concepts, and then get him with a full head of steam out of the backfield. I'd be excited about. So, Absolutely. All right. Defensive game plan. Let's jump into it, guys. Surprise, surprise. Neutralize the run game. It almost always starts with this, right? The Cardinals running game ranks 10th in the NFL at 4.6 yards per rush. However, Arizona is banged up at the running back position, forcing them to rely on inexperience against the Packers, who boast a top-ranked run defense. Jeff Hafley should focus on shutting down Arizona's ground attack first and foremost, forcing them to rely on their less consistent passing game. So again, when you look at it here, you can see where Arizona ranks. They are tied for 10th best in the league in yards per carry, Tim, at 4.6. But it is worth mentioning, James Conner is out. He's on IR. There's another running back, too. We mentioned it last night that's on IR as well. So they're kind of down to their third and fourth string running back. So you would expect our defense to be able to handle that, but you don't want to get too comfortable, right?
Yeah.
Because this is their bread and butter. This is what they do well.
And think about the unscouted looks, that you've got guys, you're this far down on your depth chart. How much tape do we have? And, other than, schematically what we know they're doing, trying to run the football. So I think you're right. You don't want to be overly aggressive. You want to, stay disciplined, stay on your gap and, be stout against this run and give them a chance to play right into our hands, which is, Jacoby Brissett throwing the ball. I think that's going to favor us matchup wise.
And Jen Wright points out it was Trey Benson. That's the other running back that's hurt. It's on IR as well. So Thank you guys for that. Thank you, Ed. Appreciate you too, buddy. So there you go. Let's stop the running game. Number 2, pressure the quarterback. Regardless of whether Kyler Murray or Jacoby Brissett is under center, the Packers should focus on generating consistent pressure against the Cardinals, who rank 25th in the NFL in yards per pass attempt. Bringing pressure will not only force mistakes, but also prevent the quarterback from finding any rhythm. If there was a week, Tim, where we break out the coffee house blitzes, we break out the fire zone looks, the simulated pressures, to me, this is the game. Don't just sit back and let the quarterback do what they done to you the last couple of weeks if it's a close game. However, I want to say this and be very clear. The Packers jump up early to a 2-score lead. I'm totally cool with it. Do the same thing you've been doing. Hafley was very vocal about it this week. Like, hey, we're playing to win the game. We're not playing to have these, wonderful looking stats. Oh, we need to get 2 sacks. We need to get a pick. No, you're winning by a couple scores. Let's make them use every inch of the field. And the goal is to keep them out of the end zone as much as possible.
That's right. It's the name of the game.
So
bend but don't break, man.
Yeah. So again, pressure in the quarterback is going to be huge. They've got the 25th ranked passing offense here at 6.2 yards per pass attempt. And oh, by the way, the Fire Matt LaFleur crowd probably want to turn your head and go la 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 la. Green Bay is number 2 in yards per pass attempt this year, only trailing Seattle at the moment. So having a phenomenal year there. And again, when you look at the PFF grades, this is what we were talking about. Jacoby Brissett is actually grading out higher than Kyler Murray, albeit he's only had 45 attempts. Kyler Murray's at 161 on the year, but Jacoby Brissett grading out with a 76, and Kyler Murray is sitting at a 72.1. We also showed last night on PTA, Jacoby Brissett's career PFF grades, man, they are consistently in the 70s the entire time. So definitely something to take into consideration. I think he is a player that can ball out when he needs to.
When you consider, what we're mentioning about pressuring the quarterback, regardless of who's under center, with LVN not playing, with Devontae Wyatt not playing, possibility of a corner like Keyshawn not playing if this illness is serious. Who do you think stepping up? Do you think everything is going to have to fall on Micah Parsons' shoulders, Rashawn Gary's shoulders? Where do we generate the pressures? Who's stepping up?
For me, I think it depends on what the tape shows and their scrambling ability. You may see a touch spy because both of these quarterbacks have a little bit of mobility to them. I mean, you see Jacoby Brissett's running grades at 82.4. Kyler Murray's is 71.4. So you don't want to get so aggressive that you don't have that touch spy. And it might be something too, Tim, where you slant the defensive line, let's say to the right, and then have a defender loop off the other side. So you're kind of forcing them into a manufactured contain. We've seen that a lot last year as well with the fire zone looks and the simulated pressure. So for me, man, I don't really look at it like, all right, this player right here needs to step up, that player needs to step up. I think it's more about schematically being very, very strategic on how you're going to apply the pressure and making sure they're not scrambling on you. Because if we continue to play man coverage at 19% a clip at cover one man, if their back's to the ball and you're not controlling those rushing lanes, you're going to have another, as I could refer to him as Danny DeVito, not Tommy DeVito, but Danny DeVito running all over you. So the thought of Danny DeVito, by the way, the football uniform, top pants running down the football field just cracks me up, man. So, hey,
Danny DeVito would be a fullback probably if he was playing football, right?
I don't know what else.
Either that or a center, maybe.
They could just have him stand in the backfield on special teams plays, and they could use his head as the tee. You know what I mean? Just have the ball out and kick off of it. About the only thing I can come up with. So.
I love it.
All right, number three, contain key pass catchers. Cardinals tight end Trey McBride has emerged as a reliable target in the passing game. Packers need a solid plan to contain him, likely utilizing a combination of linebackers and safeties. While the Cardinals receivers are talented, limiting their big play potential will be key, specifically Marvin Harrison Jr., who is averaging 15.4 yards per reception. It's also worth noting that the Packers could be down Keyshawn Nixon, cornerback, appearing on the injury report with an illness, much like Josh Jacobs. If Nixon does not play on Sunday, Carrington Valentine will see a full workload opposite of Nate Hobbs on the boundary. So when you look at their targets here, potential targets, Tim, Trey McBride, 78.4, right? His drop grade has just been phenomenal. So the strong point of his game is catching the football. And that's why I said last night when we were kind of breaking these PFF grades down a little bit deeper, I was suggesting, sometimes like somebody like Tucker Kraft, you want to play it safe and make sure he doesn't yak you to death. Trey McBride's grade looks great. He's got a great drop grade of 90, right? However, he does not have much yak at all. His yak over expected is like -9 or something, according to NFL Pro. So you shouldn't be overly concerned with his ability with yards after catch. What you should be doing is attacking the catch point with little concern about him breaking tackles because you got too aggressive at the catch point. I would love to see them play a little more snug on Trey McBride, and I wouldn't worry about him taking the top off the defense as long as your matchups are okay. Like if it's an Evan Williams on him with speed for speed, both of our backers can run with him. There's no doubt that Quay's got the athleticism and Adrian Cooper's got the athleticism. It's just the emphasis I would put on coaching this defense up this week would be real simple. When they're trying to get the ball to Trey McBride, be aggressive and attack the catch point. Okay, I would rather us get hit with a pass interference call than just allow him to have clean catch all day long. And don't worry about the yak. It doesn't mean you don't try to wrap up and tackle the proper way, but put your emphasis on attacking the hands while he's trying to catch the football.
That's a great point. I mean, I'd argue the same for Marvin Harrison Jr. too. I mean, he's a touchdown machine for them when he needs to be. And I agree. Stay stride for stride. Don't get an illegal contact call or a holding or a PI on the route. And then be aggressive at the catch point. I agree. And Keyshawn is so good at that. It's going to be so important that he plays tomorrow. If not, I fully have confidence in Carrington Valentine to step up and do much of the same. But I agree with that approach, man. You want to attack the catch point, especially with sure-handed receivers like that.
Yeah. So again, it's why PFF grades aren't everything. If you look at Trey McBride's grade of 78.4 and you look at Marvin Harrison Jr.'s 65.4 and you only took the PFF grade into consideration, you would think, all right, forget about Marvin Harrison Jr. Let's stop Trey McBride. But then when you dive into the numbers, Trey McBride isn't getting a whole lot of yak. And on the other side, Marvin Harrison Jr. is averaging over 15 yards per reception. So you got to kind of take all the information for what it's worth. Now we're talking about personnel tendency. They're going to be an 11 personnel all year long so far, they've been 11 personnel, which is 3 wide receiver sets that will trigger our nickel 4-2-5 look. They've been in that 54% of the time. Their second most used personnel, 23.1% of the time, they're in 12 personnel. So it's 11 personnel, 54% of the time, 12 personnel, 23% of the time, 13 personnel, 9% of the time, right at 10%, to be honest with you. So now, again, with that 13, there could be a whole lot of goal line opportunities that's kind of mixed in the 13. So I would really press into they're going to be in 11 the majority of the day. They would have to prove to me they're going to be in 12 more than 11 before I would believe that going in with the game plan. So when you look at their EPA too, when they're in 11 personnel, their EPA ranking is 25th. And when they're in 12 personnel, it's ranking 10th. So they're having way more success from an EPA standpoint. Like EPA per pass out of 12 personnel is a positive 0.12, while in 11 personnel, it's a negative 0.02, right? So running the ball out of 11 personnel, they're a minus 0.15, and running the ball out of 12 personnel, they're just at an even 0, which is obviously a much better grade than the negative 0.15. So it is worth mentioning this might be the game where they go, you know what, guys, the analytics are suggesting we're having more success out of 12 personnel. Let's press into that. That's where you've got to be ready to adjust. And when we talk about the game, it's broken down into 3 aspects: the first quarter, the second and third quarter, and then the fourth quarter. Okay. And what I mean is the first quarter, you're gathering information. Has a scouting report that we put together matched up with what they're doing on the field? Okay. And if so, don't worry about adjusting. However, if it isn't matching up, if they're showing something different, the second and third quarter is all about adjusting and controlling the middle 8. And in the fourth quarter, throw the game plan out. What has worked up to this point? What hasn't? What adjustment have they made? The fourth quarter is a standalone game. So you go in with this information, but you also, I guarantee you, the Packers have seen that EPA per pass and that EPA per rush going, man, they're actually better than 12. Have a backup plan if they go 12 heavy tomorrow.
May need a code word for every time you see that second tight end on the field when they're substituting, just so guys can alert on that and account for it, because I think you're right. I mean, bottom line, we're going to see a lot of 11 and 12. We know that for sure. And I wouldn't anticipate, seeing any 22 personnel. As you see way at the bottom, they're completely out of running backs at this point. But I would think a lot of 11 and 12. And, be alerting when you see 2 tight ends on the field for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
It explains why they are getting a little bit of success, right? The extra tight end, whether that's a chip block or a sift or, an extra target in the pass game. I could see them pressing into some 12.
Yeah, Jen Wright says, I think Cooper is going to be big this game. I hope so, Jen. And again, I could see him blitzing a little more than he has in the past based off of what we're talking about with simulated pressures and, driving him down with the blitz and maybe have someone else with a little touch spot at the midline, that type of thing. And then Steve kind of on the same page here. Cooper has to step up. Haven't heard much of him lately, not like last year. What's crazy, Steve, is you look at the PFF grade, he's grading out like a 75. Now, he was in the 80s last year. We seen one play last week that we highlighted. It was a 19-yard pass where I felt like it was Coop's responsibility to get a little more depth on a cover 6 look, and he didn't get back in time. And you could kind of see him recognize it as the ball came out, like, oh, crap, I'm not deep enough here. But I still think he's playing very good football. I'm with you, though. Last year, he played with his hair on fire. Hopefully, that's coming here as we get a little later into the year for sure. All right, Tuesday players, Tim. Let's go rapid fire here. Edge defender Josh Sweat. Josh Sweat leads the Cardinals with 5 sacks and a 13.8% pressure rate. When Sweat is on, he is on. When he is on, he is on, and the Packers need to make sure he's accounted for when they do drop back to pass. I mean, you can see it's kind of hard to see the grades here. I think I got it zoomed in all the way as I can. That 77.4, his highest graded game was actually week 3 against San Francisco, a very similar offense to ours, right? Conceptually anyway, an 81.7 he had there. Throughout the course of his career, 77, 70, 67, 83, 76, 70, 62, 65. He is a consistent football player. There's no doubt about it, Tim. So Josh Sweat, make sure you got a chip over there. Make sure you're just aware of where he's at. Now, listen, if it's a quick passing game, if it's a quick passing call, don't worry about the chip. Ball's going to come out anyway, right? But if you got these deep drop back sets or you got maybe a play action look, make sure Tucker's on that side. Smack him in the ribs before he goes out in his leak route.
I agree. And you see he's a tackling monster too. Tackle grade consistently, well above 70. So yeah, you've got to get a chip on him in those situations. But you're right, when you're running quick, I mean, it doesn't really matter but we can't afford to get ahead of ourselves or lazy, right? And you all of a sudden you forget to account for a guy like that, and the next thing you know, QB1's on the ground, and we can't have that in this game at all.
Yeah, definitely. The second of 4 Tuesday players, and again, guys, these guys probably wouldn't be Tuesday players on most teams, but these are definitely the 4 best players, in my opinion, on their team that's not named Kyler Murray. And when Kyler Murray's on, he's on, boy. He can be electric. It's just he's very inconsistent. He's probably not even going to play tomorrow. But Trey McBride, tight end. McBride leads the Cardinals in receiving yards, but to this point hasn't been very effective with yards after the catch. The Packers defense should coach to play him with tight coverage at the catch point more than worrying about making guys miss after the catch. As you can see here, Trey McBride's off to a great start this year, 69, 72, 73, 62, 79, 71 for a PFF grade right now of where's he at, 78.4. And in terms of his career, Tim, 51, 76, 86, 78. So he's one of the better tight ends in the league. I would say he's a top 10 tight end in the National Football League. But again, we kind of talked about this already. Just know where he's at. You got to make sure you know where Marvin Harrison Jr. is, and you got to make sure you know where Trey McBride is. Trey McBride is going to be that guy, Tim, that they go to when they need to play, right? It's kind of like back in the day, you think of all the great teams in history. God, what was his name? What was the guy who played for the Colts? I shouldn't ask a question I don't know the answer to. He played with Peyton Manning, Dallas something, right? Dallas
Clark.
Dallas Clark. When they needed to play, boy, they went to him. Baltimore on their little run here recently, Mark Andrews was the guy, right? He was that tight end to go to. Patrick Mahomes, obviously, and Travis Kelce here in this little dynasty they put together in the last decade. Same type of thing, man. Again, when the game's on the line, think play or not play. When they need a play, they go to Trey McBride. There's no doubt about it.
Especially like we were just talking about, if they're going to lean on some 12 personnel looks. Well, if there's 2 tight ends on the field, that your priority is Trey McBride. First and foremost, make sure you're accounting for him. I would agree with that.
Yeah. All right, moving along. Defensive tackle, Calais Campbell. The ageless wonder continues to play high-level football. Campbell is a monster in the middle, standing at 6'8". Although his best football may be behind him, Campbell can still wreck a game plan both in a run and with his 3 sacks on pass rushes. Matt LaFleur needs to scheme around his ability to bat down balls in the short passing game as well. So, again, we already talked about attacking the linebackers, Tim. Maybe on some slants, some shallows, things like that. The problem is you got that big bastard with his paws in those throwing lanes. That can be a problem.
Yep, absolutely. And again, we can say what we want about the past the prime talk. He's still going to affect the game. You've got to account for him. That's why he's on this list. I 100% agree with that. So it's about, like you said, play balance in your scheme and, willing to adjust. If you're not willing to adjust, or maybe you're willing to adjust, but you're not doing it fast enough, guys like this can hurt you big time.
Definitely. And when you look at his PFF grades on the year, 61, 77, 90.3 against San Fran. So, again, similar scheme, right? Seattle, 75.3. Then he dropped to a 43 and a 61. So, really, his last 2 games has been, less than what he's done in the first 4 weeks there. So, maybe he is starting to drop off a little bit. Fatigue already setting in. I mean, the guy is – how old is he now, Tim? What do we got there? He's 39 years old. Yeah. Tim, he's 39 years old, carrying around 282 pounds of weight in a 6'8" frame. That body is tired, bro. It's got to be.
It's got to be.
Yeah, look at all these years, man. You kidding me? 74, 82, 80, 76, 80, 74. Look at this right here, prime. 90, 90, 91, 91, 84, 82, 75, 76, 71, 61, 68, 55. That was going recently backwards, but you see his best football was right in the middle of the career. But, man, these last few years, Tim, he's still in the green, man.
I was just going to say, it's like if he's trending, back down, he's trending back down to where he was in 2013, 2014, which is still a damn good football player. You have to account for Calais Campbell.
Yeah, as Jay
stand-up guy, by the way, too. One of those guys on your short list of, if we could steal him for the Packers, you'd welcome a guy like Calais Campbell with open arms in Green Bay for sure.
I was hoping they would go after him the last couple of years. Man, having him in the middle of that defense, oh my gosh, man. Veteran leadership, good locker room guy. As J. Cole said, that's Unc right there. Amen to that. This is that dude. This is that Unc when you're at the cookout and he sees you running that mouth out there on the flag football field. He's going to set the potato salad down and go, I'll be right back. Give me just a second. Let me go ahead and show these guys how to do this. So well said there, Jay, for sure. And then we get to the final player here, Marvin Harrison Jr. Marvin Harrison Jr. is off to an average start to the 2025 season, but his big playability should not be overlooked. He leads the Cardinals with 15.4 yards per reception and a plus 19.9 receiving EPA. This is where PFF isn't everything, right? You can see he's leading in other analytics here. He also recorded his highest PFF grade of the season last week in Indy. So far a 72, 56, 53, 56, 71, and then an 84 against Indianapolis on the road last week. Now you'll see there's two ways of looking at this, Tim. You could say, oh, he's playing bad, or you could say last year he was a 77. That means he's due if he's going to get back up to that 77 mark, much like we were just talking about Edgerrin Cooper in the 80s last year, according to PFF. This year he's dropped into the 70s. He's probably due to get back up to that baseline that he's already shown in his young career. But Marvin Harrison Jr. definitely got to watch for, man.
Yeah, and still a young player on the rise, still kind of getting into his NFL speed, NFL legs, NFL body. NFL injuries, dealing with playing at the highest level. We all know that he was obviously clearly super, super heavily recruited. Everybody wanted this guy, right? He did go number 1 overall, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was number 4.
Okay, first round, 4th selection. Okay.
Everybody was expecting to go. Yeah.
Top 5 pick. You had people falling over themselves trying to get him. So the hype is there, and I think it's tough to judge young players and their trajectory of how they live up to the hype, right? Travis Hunter obviously has lived up to the hype, I think, at this point in the NFL level. Some guys take a year or two, but either way, we know what Marvin Harrison Jr. is capable of, and that's another guy that you cannot afford to take for granted out there on the field, regardless of what the numbers or the stats are saying.
So let me give you guys an example. Excuse me, the voice is gone. We're about done, though. We made it, Tim. Let me give you an example of how they're attacking defenses with Marvin Harrison Jr., okay? So against the Colts, here he had a 21-yard catch, okay? And the play call was 11 gun nasty, nub right, X climb cab, Y drag T wheel. And as you look at the play design here, I'm going to try to get it on the screen for you. That's pretty solid there. Let me go.
That's breaking news from Bates in the chat.
Uh-oh. Let's hear it, Bates. Hit me with it, man.
Yeah, go ahead. I got to start up there for you, Clayton, if you want to.
Right. Give me that breaking news soundbite, Tim. Bates says Packers have yet to depart for Arizona because of mechanical issues with the team plane per sources. The delay is now approaching 5 hours, and they're still on the tarmac. Kickoff against the Cardinals is at 1:25 p.m. Mountain Time on Sunday. Wow. That might not sound like a big deal, but sitting on an airplane for 5 hours and not before a game, fire Rich Bisaccia's ass right now. I know it's his fault, Tim. I know it's his fault.
How dare you?
Thank you for that update, Bates. Look like Jacob in the chat, bearded Packer fan, had it as well. Mechanical issue, right? So appreciate you guys bringing us that information on the fly. That was per Tom Pelissero, the arrow over there. So there you go. So Bates being the upstanding human being he says Jacob mentioned it. I just looked it up. Thank you, Jamie. Appreciate you. All right, so we'll keep an eye on that developing story there. Hopefully that thing don't get pushed back or something. But you know how sometimes things can get wonky. They may go, well, we're just going to have a third Monday night game. That would suck. I'm ready for football.
Man.
I'm ready for football.
Terrible.
So, again, this play call that we talked about, right? It's 11 gun nasty, nub right, X climb cab, Y drag T wheel. So you'll notice they had this defender or this player right here, this receiver that's in the 2 at snap was actually lined up in the 1. All right. J. Cole, hop off that plane and whoop that ass. I like it. I love that energy. So the 1 shifted over to the number 2. Okay. I believe this is 11 personnel. There's a chance this is a tight end here, but the way the defense looks to me, I think they're in their nickel. So I'm pretty sure that that's what this is 11 personnel. So technically, by the time the ball is snapped, Marvin Harrison Jr. is playing the X. Okay, he's on the line of scrimmage opposite the tight end, so he's the X in this case. Even though the 3 is probably the one that actually declared on the line, you could see that's the X in my opinion. So he's going to run a climb route. That's the X climb aspect. The cab aspect of this play is going to be a dig with a drag underneath, and then the Y is going to be a drag as well. So essentially, what you've got is 2 different concepts here. Okay. You've got the cab concept of a dig and a shallow or a drag, But if you just said, all right, that's just going to be the dig, you've also got a mesh concept. And when you played this in motion in real time, you'll notice both of these guys, both the number 3 here and the nub tied in on the right, were literally just going in trying to pick guys off. They were just trying to get in the way and set legal picks, right? Is what they were designed to do. And then, of course, they got the running back trying to leak out and run butt naked through the trailer park on the wheel routes. Real simple, though. They were in a cover 1 man look, if I remember correctly. The mesh concept of the cab there, they actually bumped a little bit. But again, Marvin Harrison Jr. getting just enough separation and making a great catch. That was a 21-yard gain. Just want to give you guys an idea. Essentially, what you come away with here, nasty splits, much like we run, nub right look, which means trips left, and they got a wheel attached for a late developing route in it. And everything here is really, it's all about, if they're in man coverage, run the pick. If they're in zone, find the soft spot. But you got multiple options at multiple layers, and it was just a great throw and catch to Marvin Harrison Jr. for 21 yards. Just want to give you guys, like I said, just a little bit of details. Does that make sense, Tim? That's just one of many ways that they try to attack you through the air.
Makes a lot of sense to me. I really hope that we don't see any single high against this look, because that's where
the beater, right, Tim?
Yeah, that's the beater. That's the middle field closed beater right there for sure.
Now, if you were to say, okay, how would you approach this then, right? How would you approach stopping this particular play? If let's say they show a lot of climb routes from the backside, I would come out with a cover 9 look. And listen, you got to have some huevos to go out there and run a cover 9. A cover 6 is basically a combination of cover 2 and cover 4, right? Well, typically the cover 4 is on the strong side of the formation, meaning this would be the cover 4 side, okay? So it'd be cover 4, which 2 deep quarters, and then a half. So it would be quarter, half in a cover 6. In a cover 9 look, it's different. You're actually going to put the half on the strong side of the formation and the quarter on the opposite side. So if you get a team that runs a lot of climb routes out of a trips or a tray look, you can literally set them up and bait them into throwing into a quarters coverage side on a climb route. But again, if you come out and you call that, Tim, and they read it and they have choice routes attached, these 2 guys go vertical. And what I mean, if they throw if they literally hit you with an X go and that number 2 on a corner, you're cooked. So you got to pick your spots. But that's one area where you could run a cover 9 and take away that climb route. That, and of course, playing with the proper leverage. But again, if you play with crosser or climb style leverage, you're really selling yourself out to the middle of the field. And if they've got a choice, or to the inside of the route, if they got a choice route attached and you're in cover 1 man and you clamp inside and they run a cross corner, cooked, right? Yep. That's why
I've seen that. We've seen that before.
Yeah, keep it simple. Give me a cover 6, a cover 9, and a cover 3 look, right? And stop their run. And I think you're going to be fine in this game. So if we can get the airplane off the tarmac, right? So
yeah, that would be a start.
Yeah.
Send that private jet over there, Clayton. Tell them gas it up. Get on the phone.
Exactly. All right. That's the game plan, guys. So hopefully you guys got a little bit better idea of how the Packers can attack this Arizona Cardinals offense and defense. We try to give you guys enough information there to kind of dive in, and let us know in the comments what you think. And if you're wondering, man, where is this at? If you want to support the show, the best way to do so is to join our Patreon group at patreon.com/PackerFan Total Access. Typically by Tuesday or Wednesday, I start to post this on the Patreon group, and I slowly put the game plan together. So rather than wait to the finished product, what I'll do is throw in the first couple of installs, right? So you're getting the information as I'm putting it into the system. And then by the time we get to Saturday, bang, you got the entire game plan there to read as we dive over it in the day or day before the game, right? Typically,
kind of like having your notes for a test, right? The old open book test back in the day. You're all prepped for the game, ready to go.
And again, this isn't like hey guys, this is what they're going to do. It's just looking at it from a coach's standpoint of, hey, this is a way you can attack both the offense and defense. And typically what will happen too, Tim, is it's hard to keep it limited to just 3 points on offense, 3 points on defense. So it gets your mind churning, like a little exercise of, oh yeah, but what if they go this route as well, right? Like we didn't even talk about screen passes. That might be a way to attack the Packers defense based off of everything we just talked about, right? So just get you looking at everything a little more globally. So
absolutely.
All right, good deal, man. So that's going to do it for the game plan. Like I said, let us know in the comments what you think about that specific game plan geared around stopping the Arizona Cardinals. Tim, the throat, I'm not going to lie, man, it's hurting. All right, we hurting. Your boy going to have to hit some cough syrup, double dose tonight, sleep
on that scissor.
Not that scissor, but close. And we'll get ready for the pregame show tomorrow. But before we get out of here, man, tell them about this awesome charity we're partnered up with, man.
Yeah, all month of October, we're partnered with OperationHorsesHeal.org, helping veterans and their families with equine therapy events. We're trying to raise some money so they can get a truck and a trailer to transport these beautiful, majestic horses to these events, driven basically to help ease the burden on our veterans when it comes to mental health issues. It's equine therapy. It allows veterans to take their own self-guided wellness journey. OperationHorsesHeal.org is where you can go learn more about what they're doing over there. /how can I help? If you want to go right to the donation page, each donation is going to get you entered into with the drawing to win a Romeo Dobbs jersey, autographed Romeo Dobbs away jersey. You can also scan that QR code in the upper right. We'll be doing this all the way until October 31st. So get your donations in. No donation amount is too small. Each one is going to get you an entry for that chance to win the Romeo Dobbs jersey.
Yeah. And here's the thing too, if you don't have the funds to donate even $1, I've been there, but I've been broke as a joke in my life. You kidding me?
Yep.
Tell you another way you can help. Share that website with people. If you know a veteran, right? Hey, veterans know other veterans, right? And veterans know some veterans that, hey, man, they're struggling. They might not be the veteran that's struggling with PTSD, but they know someone else. They can share that website with them, get linked up, and who knows what that could lead to in terms of healing for them. So that's another way that you can help, man. Again, if you ain't got money, you got time, right? If you ain't got time, you probably got a little bit of money. Both help in any cause that you choose to help anybody else out on this big ball of mud that's supposedly flying through space. But anyway, Tim always laughs.
For another show.
If you guys wonder why I mention flat Earth from time to time, one of my hobbies, and listen, if you're a flat earther, God bless you. If you think it's stupid, God bless you. But one of my favorite hobbies is to get a group of people together and get the conversation going and just walk away as they just lose their mind on each other. It's absolutely hilarious. So that's why I always try to bring it up from time to time. But anyway, Jaco, Clayton sipping on that scissor. Not tonight, sir. Not tonight. So we will be before we go to bed. My goodness. Tim, you got anything else, man?
No, just hope you feel better, man. Get some, have a hot toddy or something too. Get, drink some tea. Yeah, get some rest, man. We got a game tomorrow, man.
There might be a little Woodford Reserve over there.
There you go. Little Woodford, little honey, little lemon, little tea.
I got to show y'all this real quick before we get out of here. Hold on, man. Keep them occupied, Tim.
I'm just going to talk more about the charity that we're working with. The QR code's back up there, guys. Make sure you scan it. And actually, make sure you go to the website, OperationHorsesHeal.org. Spend a little time. They got a really nice website. You can learn all about the equine therapy programs and everything that they're doing up there for sure. Clayton, what do you got? Show and tell. You back?
Yeah. So I'm not a heavy drinker, but I'll have a sip every now and again, right? Like I've learned firsthand from friends, family. Addiction is a real thing, right? It's a real problem. So I try to keep things like that very, very, very much so in check. But Mandy got me this, and I think it's awesome. So check it out. I think I've showed it before. So it says it's got the Hall of Fame stamp on it, a metal stamp, right? And this has got my Woodford in it. And on the other side, check this out, Tim. So it's obviously the shape of a football. The little Vince Lombardi mock.
Oh, wow.
Autograph. Beautiful. So yeah, that's
fire, man.
Yeah, immediately made. And then underneath, got a little football field there too, a little gridiron, right? It's pretty cool. It's just a neat piece of, I guess you could call it memorabilia. I don't know, but
I think so.
Mandy with the clutch win there, man.
Mandy always finds that kind of stuff.
No, you kidding me? We were in Jonesboro today shopping. My gosh, man. I had to walk out of the shop. I went across the street and got me a blueberry muffin, sat on the bench while she spent my retirement. You know what I mean? That's the way it works.
That's how it's supposed to be, man.
That's right. All right, guys, we're out of here. Thank y'all so much. Hit that like, hit subscribe. Make sure you click the bell icon so you're notified when we go live. Like tomorrow, we're going live for a PTA pregame show. We always do it at least an hour and 20 minutes before kickoff. I may go live a little earlier if I feel okay. As John Walker says, Johnny Walker with honey. Look at him promoting his own thing.
You gotta love it.
So we may go live a little bit earlier with the 1 o'clock games going. I may just jump in there and kind of give a little more updates around the league type thing, maybe an extra 15 or 20 minutes of content. But nonetheless, man, it's game day. let's get that plane off the tarmac, get them guys landed safely, and go out there and kick some Cardinal ass tomorrow. Tim, appreciate you, buddy.
Appreciate you too. Thanks for having me, Clay.
All right, man. Everybody have a wonderful evening. As always, let's go out and be the change we want to see in the world, and go Pack.
Here we go.
We're out. Bye, guys.